That morning began with a quiet stillness that felt almost unnatural. The sunlight fell softly across the kitchen counter, glinting off the coffee mug I had set in front of Daniel. He sat across from me, scrolling through his phone with that same distant expression I'd seen too many times lately. His shoulders were tense, his replies short and distracted. Something inside me whispered that today was going to change everything. "Another business trip?" I asked, trying to sound casual as he zipped his suitcase. He didn't meet my eyes. "Just a few days. I'll call you when I land." But he didn't, and deep down I knew he wouldn't. Later that evening, while I was cleaning up, I noticed his laptop left open on the table. Normally, I respected his privacy, but this time a strange pull urged me to look. The screen was dim, the cursor blinking on a messaging app. My hand trembled as I clicked. Then the words appeared. Lines of affection, pet names, plans for a future that didn't include me. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks. But as I scrolled, each message struck like lightning through my chest. He called her beautiful. He said she made him feel alive again. Every word was a dagger. Every sentence an echo of promises he once made to me. The tears came before I could stop them. My knees went weak and I sank to the floor, clutching the edge of the table as if it could hold me together. All those nights he said he was working late. All those distant glances, it all made sense now. When Daniel returned 3 days later, I confronted him in the doorway. My voice cracked as I asked, "Who is she, Daniel?" He froze, his face paling. For a moment, silence filled the room like a thick fog. Then he sighed, a sound that carried defeat rather than guilt. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt you." I stared at him, searching for the man I once loved, but all I saw was a stranger standing in my husband's place. That night, he packed his bags and left. The sound of the door closing echoed through the house, final and cold. I stood there, broken and breathless, until a small voice from the hallway said softly, "Mom, are you okay?" It was Adam, my son, watching me with wide, worried eyes. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't truly alone. The days after Daniel left blurred together like a long gray dream. Morning light no longer brought comfort. It only reminded me that another day had come without him. The house felt colder, emptier. His side of the bed stayed untouched, and the silence at breakfast screamed louder than any argument ever had. I tried to keep myself busy, washing, cooking, pretending everything was normal for Adam's sake. But there were moments when I'd catch myself staring at the front door, half expecting Daniel to walk in, apologize, and make it all right again. Of course, he never did. One night after putting Adam to bed, I sat at the kitchen table surrounded by bills, letters, and memories I didn't want. The numbers blurred as tears filled my eyes. I had spent years being a wife, relying on Daniel's support. Now I had to figure out how to survive on my own, with the son watching me closely, learning from my every reaction. As I wept quietly, a small hand rested gently on mine. I looked up to see Adam, sleepy-eyed but determined. "Mom," he said softly, "you don't have to cry anymore. We're going to be okay." I forced a smile, brushing his hair back. "You're too young to worry about this, sweetheart." He shook his head. "You always say I'm too young, but I'm not too young to help." That night, something inside me shifted. My son, only 12, was showing a strength I hadn't yet found. From that moment, Adam began stepping up in little ways, helping with chores, reminding me to eat, even writing small notes that said, "You're the best, Mom," and sticking them on the fridge. Each day, I felt a little stronger. I started applying for jobs again, something I hadn't done in years. The world outside seemed huge and uncertain, but I couldn't let fear define me anymore. One evening, while we were eating dinner, I accidentally broke down again. My voice trembled as I whispered, "I don't know if I can do this alone." Adam reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You're not alone, Mom," he said, his eyes full of quiet certainty. "You have me. We're a team." And for the first time since Daniel left, I believed him. Months passed, and though the ache of betrayal still lingered, it began to soften around the edges. I learned to fill my days with purpose instead of pain. I found a part-time job at a small bookstore downtown, quiet, warm, and filled with the smell of paper and hope. It became my escape, a place where stories of heartbreak and healing reminded me that I wasn't the only one trying to start over. Adam adjusted better than I could have imagined. He threw himself into schoolwork, joined the debate club, and even helped me around the house without complaint. Every time I felt like falling apart, his calm voice and steady presence pulled me back. I began to see that while Daniel's absence left a wound, it also gave space for something new to grow, our bond, stronger than ever. One afternoon, as I was shelving books, I looked up and froze. Standing at the counter was Daniel. My heart stuttered painfully in my chest. He looked thinner, older somehow, as though guilt had worn him down. "Hi," he said quietly, forcing a weak smile. "You look good." I swallowed hard. "We're fine, Daniel. We've managed." He nodded, eyes lowering. "I miss Adam," he murmured. "I think about him all the time." For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. But then I remembered the nights. I cried myself to sleep while he was with someone else. I drew in a steadying breath. "You can see him," I said firmly. "But understand, he's changed. We both have." That evening, Adam met him for dinner. I waited at home, anxiety twisting in my stomach. When Adam came back, his face was calm. He dropped his backpack, sat beside me and said he's sorry. "Mom," but I told him we're not mad anymore. We just don't need him the way we used to. I was speechless. My son wasn't angry or bitter. He was wise, mature beyond his years. His words struck me deeply. He had learned forgiveness without letting it weaken him. That night, I hugged him tightly, tears filling my eyes. "You're becoming such a strong young man," I whispered. He smiled softly. "I had to be, Mom, for both of us." And in that moment, I realized we weren't broken anymore. We were healing, together. A full year passed since Daniel walked out of our lives. What once felt like the end of my world had quietly transformed into a new beginning. The pain no longer controlled me, it had shaped me. I was stronger, calmer, and finally at peace with the life Adam and I were building together. Our home felt alive again. The walls that once echoed with silence now carried laughter, the soft hum of music, and the scent of homemade meals we cooked together. Adam had become the heart of our little world, responsible, determined, and full of light. He had recently joined his school's debate team, and his confidence amazed me every day. One evening, after his first big debate competition, Adam burst through the front door, his face glowing with pride. "Mom, we won!" he shouted, holding up a small gold medal that shimmered in the light. I couldn't help it. I ran to him, laughing and crying at once. "I knew you could do it," I said, hugging him tight. He grinned and replied, "See? I told you we'd be okay." Later that night, we sat together on the porch. The sky painted in deep shades of blue and gold. The air was cool, peaceful. Adam leaned against my shoulder, silent for a long moment before asking softly, "Mom, do you ever miss Dad?" I thought about it carefully before answering. "Sometimes," I admitted. "But missing someone doesn't mean we need them back." "I miss who I thought he was, not who he turned out to be." Adam nodded slowly. "I think he missed out, on us, on everything we became." His words warmed my heart. My son, once a quiet, uncertain boy, had grown into someone wise beyond his years. I looked at him and saw not the pain of what we lost, but the strength of what we had found. "I'm proud of you, Adam," I whispered. "You taught me how to be brave." He smiled, his eyes shining. "You taught me first." As the stars began to appear, I realized that love hadn't disappeared from our lives, it had simply changed form. We no longer lived in the shadow of betrayal. We lived in the light of resilience, forgiveness, and unbreakable love. And in that peaceful silence, I finally understood. We hadn't been abandoned. We had been reborn.